when your Pathfinders are looking at you like, you know, with the deer in the headlights, it's time to do what? Something different. It's time. There's seats up here, baby. I don't bite. I only bite on Tuesdays. You can come right here. I promise.
Oh, I'm glad I don't bite today.
Not today, only Tuesdays. So when your Pathfinders are looking as if, one, I don't understand what you're saying, and it has nothing to do with language, or two, I'm bored to death, jump up and down or do something to make me excited, do something. Whose time is it to make a change? The Pathfinder or the teacher? The teacher. The onus is on the teacher. The teacher is, well, that's cute. Mm-hmm. My elephant's cuter, but I'm glad you took that. But the teacher, it's the teacher's time to do something different. And teachers have different styles of teaching. All teachers don't teach the same. Otherwise, all students would learn the same, and we know that doesn't happen, all right? All right. But thank you very much for the little fun quiz. Now we're going to go ahead and get started because I think time is going to be against us. All right. Woohoo! Left my clicker at home. It's all right. Life will go on. So can knowing your teaching style benefit your Pathfinders?
Absolutely, yes.
Why? You know what you stink at. Good. Somebody else? You know what to, they know what to expect, or you know what to expect? Both? Prepared. You go on. Prepared. You want to come here prepared? What a concept. So I can't just show up to Pathfinders and say, all right, hey, let's have some fun, right?
That's right.
Why not? Isn't
Improv.
Pathfinders all about fun?
Improvisation.
Improvisation. Improvisation is a good thing. Preparedness with improvisation is a better thing.
Yes.
All right? So don't just show up to the friend class the first day and say, all right, we're going to learn the Bible. Go. And you didn't even bring your Bible with you. You're hoping they brought theirs. So no preparation, no tools, nothing. You have nothing. You're just expecting them to learn. That's poor teaching. I mean, I've done that, but it's poor teaching, okay? All right? Clicker is really helpful. Can anybody name some teaching styles? Anybody know any teaching styles? Tactile. Touching. Okay. Anything else? Visual. Okay, auditory. I think it's learning styles. Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting you all are naming the learning styles rather than the teaching styles. But it's okay, because they're in here too. Because guess what? You have to know both in order to be an effective teacher. All right? One of the teaching styles, authority. Authoritative, authority, lecture. All right, today we're going to learn about God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I gave a piece of paper earlier. Somebody should be doing something right about now. Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:2 says something else that he did. And Genesis 1:3 says, I'm just waiting for that person with the piece of paper. Okay. It's not working right as it should. Somebody ask a question. And Matthew 1:1 says,
Can I go to the bathroom?
no. And James 1:3 says,
How much longer is it going to last?
none of your business. Ecclesiastes 1:4 says,
Can I have a pillow?
no. And I'm waiting for somebody to ask a question about the Bible. Somebody just ask anything.
It's God.
It's in the book. Just read the book. That's what I gave you the book for. Okay? So, are we all clear now? Do we understand everything? All right. You have a good day. Yay? You're going to learn a lot, right? Yeah. I'm sorry. On behalf of all professors, I apologize. Authority, lecture, which means you don't participate at all. Usually in a school, in a huge school, let's say University of Chicago. Where are we? Where am I? Georgia. The University of Georgia, where the classes, freshman English, consists of what? 200 people. You're going to have authority style. Sometimes that's needed, and we'll talk about pros and cons a little later. Okay, sometimes it's needed, but usually authority in a smaller class doesn't go over that well. But anyway, let's keep going. The next style, demonstrator. How does a coach differ a little bit from a lecturer? Let's see. All right. Okay, now, remember I asked you the question, so make sure you get it. Let's see. Now, okay, that's good. I like how you're doing that. If you need any help, you let me know, okay? All right. Now, if you have questions, I'd like you to ask me some questions because we want to make sure we understand them. Is everything going all right? Did you get that reading last week? All right. Okay, good. So what we want to do is make sure that understanding is happening at all times. What's the difference between those two? What happened there? Interaction. So a coach is a little more helpful than a lecturer. Will a coach at all times?
No.
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the facilitator. And a facilitator, I won't tell you my favorite, but anyway, a facilitator, let's see. All right, we're going to pretend your name is Joe. Joe, jump up for me. Yeah. Tell me what's going on today.
Well, I came to this meeting today.
All right, and how did that affect your life?
Well, I had to get up earlier than I thought I would.
See, there you go. You had to do something you didn't plan on doing yesterday, right? Yeah. So you planned on getting up early today. All right, I appreciate that. Have a seat. Thank you, Joe. Give Joe a hand. Oh, all right. Now, will Joe leave the class feeling a little bit better than if I hadn't called on him? Or a little bit intimidated because, oh my goodness, she's going to pick on me from now on. He may have some mixed feelings about whatever's happening, but he was included in the class. And you can include all the people in the class depending on, one, the size of the class. When your Pathfinders are looking like, oh, Lord, wonder what's for dinner tonight. My mother didn't tell me what she was cooking, but And it's worse when the instructor looks that way. Boy, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? It's not a good thing when the instructor's looking that way. So we need to make sure everybody's, feeling a little better about themselves and feeling good. But you're not in Pathfinders to make the child feel good per se, but you're in Pathfinders to help the child to learn. And learn in a way that it's going to stay. Because, of course, rote memorization is something we can all do. Well, actually, not everybody can do rote memorization because you're just memorizing. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning, this happened, and 1 + 1 = 2. And then you leave the room, and 1 + 1 = 48. Because you have taken the test, and you have forgotten all about it. Because you only studied last night just to do what? Pass the investiture and get your badges, and you're gone. You just studied enough to pass the test. So we have to get them beyond that, because what are we trying to do eventually? Get them to the kingdom, to be ready for the kingdom.
That's right.
They're not going to work their way into the kingdom, but we're going to get them ready to not be ashamed of the gospel. All right? Okay, and our last one, delegator. And we're pretty much have been doing that. Now, I'm going to split you all up into groups of 4s, and I'm going to ask you all to do an exercise. Everybody else is like, oh, man, we got to move. I'm just kidding. But we delegate. We give you assignments. With Pathfinders, that's extremely important because you want them to feel as if they're included. Do you have shy Pathfinders? Yes. Do you have overbearing Pathfinders? Do you have shy staff? Do you have overbearing staff? The director? Do you have, left out that lovely group of people, the parents. Some shy, some overbearing, some who want to be included, some who don't want to be included. Some just send me a letter. Let me know what's going on, and I'm okay. Others, okay. Tell me what you are going to do at 11:01. Okay, you know what? You need to move for me. Because, I might have to slap you with some oil. That's what he said down there. But the parents who are challenging you, you need to challenge them back. Delegate something to them. All right, Mrs. Smith, you know what? Thank you so much for being so active in this club. Here's what I'd like you to do for us. We'd like to have a fundraiser, and we'd like you to organize it. Would you take care of that for us? Because you're so good at organizing. If you would take care of that for us, we would be so appreciative. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Don't yell at her. Don't throw her out. Utilize her. If you have people who are that willing to be there at every moment, who wants to know what's going on, utilize the person. Help them. So we have people of different, what? Different strengths, talents, willingness, gifts. Utilize them all, just like the teaching styles. Utilize all of them, all right? Thank you. We have hybrid, blending, all of them together. Because like I said, you may not be able to use all of them at one given time. One of them every single day because of the size. We have one more seat up here. This gentleman is holding a seat for you. Come on up here, baby. He's holding, oh, and there's one right there. Yeah. See, they were just holding seats waiting for you. See, there you go. So you're going to take the one in the back. What a concept. It's okay. That's all right. So we have blended styles. So we use all of them together. So let's just talk quickly. And I left it blank so that you all could tell me pros and cons. So we've gone through the lecturer, the coach, the facilitator. And I just blanked on and the delegator. Thank you. Delegator and all. Somebody give me a pro of one. Pick one and give me a pro. Yes. You have a con? Go ahead.
Lecture, con, boring.
Lecture, con, boring. Okay. Somebody, yes? Delegator, you don't get burned out because you're passing the ball to someone else. Great, great. Somebody else.
Facilitating allow the students or the Pathfinders to work with
All right. You allow them to help. Yes, sir?
the coach, I guess the delegator as well. You can help the student
Okay.
in a more personal.
And I love the fact that you are answering the question because you wanted a translator. See, thank God. Praise the Lord for you. So you can help them along. And see, he needing a translator, someone could help him along. So we help each other. But when we sit, and I'm glad she said the lecturer boring, think about Pathfinders, not TLTs, not adventurers, of course, but think about Pathfinders who are of the age between 10 and 15. Do they get bored easily?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Good Father in heaven. I'm bored. I need something to do. I have two stepdaughters. They're wonderful. When they were that age, those ages, they were like, I'm bored. Okay, go read a book. And they love to read, so it was a good thing. I took them out one day, and I said, okay, where do you want to go? Let's go to the mall. Let's go buy some jeans. Let's go can we go to the library? Yeah, sure. One, save money. Two, you get books. You love to read. Okay, I'm bored. Go read something. You can't do that to all kids. Kids like activities. They like to do something. So put them to use. Same with the parent. Put them to good use. Find something for them to do. But guess what? That means you have to be what? Prepared. That means you actually have to have done some work before that. All right, any pros of anything? Anything else, rather? Yes?
What about demonstrator? You kind of build a relationship with your student.
Good point. Good point. Which gives you the ability to do what later on?
Have a relationship.
Right, and which allows you to ask them to do something a little more challenging than the first day of class. Okay, I need you to write a 58-page paper and turn it in tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, sure.
Right. And so you'll expect that paper tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you've built up a rapport over the next couple of weeks, can you write a 4-page paper for me? And I want you to write it on plaid shirts. Can you do that for me? Because I know you've worn plaid shirts.
Sure.
You kind of like them. And so does that give him a little more excitement about writing the 4-page paper instead of the 58-page paper? And it's due next week.
And it blends in.
And it blends in. I love it. I love it. It blends in. It blends in. So you see, we can enjoy ourselves in the teaching process. And in turn, the learner then enjoys and learns. It's a two-way street. I can teach all day long. I can talk all day long too, but don't let me, please. But if I'm not imparting wisdom, if you're not learning, if you're not able to impart that wisdom to someone else, the whole day was pointless. Okay, if you get nothing else out of this hour, we have to be able to share what we've learned. How does that work for the Bible? Are we learning the Bible and then hiding it under that famous bushel? Or are we sharing the gospel?
Yeah, we're letting our light shine.
Letting our light shine. Because we are not. Hello, work with me. I'm trying to get the theme in here. We are not. All right. All right. Now, understanding the learner. Here's where the tactile comes in, and we can put them all together. Understanding the learner. In order to utilize the appropriate teaching styles or methods, we must understand how the students learn. If we don't, we've got big problems. Many students aren't aware of their learning styles. It becomes difficult for the teacher if the teacher's only focused with one method of teaching. If I come up here every day and I put PowerPoints up, everybody's good, right?
No.
Why not? It's PowerPoint. It's digital. It's new. Yay! Why?
Boring.
Boring, okay. So she is not a visual learner at all times. And you can tell that because, okay, I don't want to look at this all day. I might want to hear you talk because then I can glean from what you're saying. I actually spoke with someone, and one of the VAC learning styles, and it comes from, visual, people who are visual like pictures, and they like to see things spin and turn, and they like to write down things. See, we've got some visual people up here. They're writing stuff down, they're taking notes, and that's great because that helps them to learn. Whatever this, I love the old saying, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you, however you learn best, that's what I want you to do. But guess what? If I don't find out how you learn best, then I can't teach you properly. So on each first day, school starts next Monday. Woo, thank you, Lord. Pray for me, say a prayer. And I teach the university level, so it's great. And I have juniors, and they're a wonderful group, but it's challenging to get ready to meet these people, and the eyes are looking at you like, all right, teach me something. I don't want to. And my first thought is to them, I ask a question. Tell me how you learn. And that has to sink in for a good 10 minutes. Because they're thinking, what do you mean tell you how I learn? I don't know how I learn. And tell me what affects you. Tell me what I can do to make the book come alive to you. Tell me what I can do to make my lecture come alive to you. And then they start thinking. And then I start giving them a little hint. Video. Yeah. YouTube. Oh, yeah. Role play. Yeah. And so they start, oh, yeah, I can. And they start thinking, oh, yeah, this is how I learn best. If I write it down, or if I ask questions, or if I see something once, I got it. I had one young lady, all she had to do was read the book. She didn't have a photographic memory, but all she had to do was read the book, and it would sink in, and then she would take notes, and then she'd be okay. For another person, that wouldn't work. One person, I have like 5 students who beg me for my PowerPoint presentations. And my first thought is, no. Because then I know you are not going to listen to anything else I say in class because you're going to go home knowing that you can review the PowerPoint presentations and just get ready for the test. And while that, may seem mean, but no, I need you to listen. I need you to pay attention. And I need you to concentrate enough to raise your hand and ask a question when you don't understand. Because all of that is part of the learning process. And there are even ways to help students learn. It's called, I just blanked on it. We use note cards, and we use the white card, and it's called the muddled effect. The white card or colorful cards. If you turn in a white card at the end of the class because you're a little too shy to ask a question, you turn in a white card and you ask a question on the white card, you don't have to put your name. And it gives the teacher an opportunity to read the card and see what else has happened in the class that you may have missed that the student didn't understand, and then you have time to read it, grasp the information, and then relay it back to the student the next time you meet. Or the muddled card. The white card is usually great class, I understood everything. The orange card, the brown card, the green card, oh, here we go. What did I miss? What didn't they understand? And that's okay because they've written the question out, and the next day you don't have to embarrass anyone who was too shy to raise their hand during the class, and you don't have to say, well, Susie, I know you didn't understand 1 and 1 equal 2 yesterday, so I'm going to share it with you. You don't have to do that. Last week we talked about how Freud's theory of sexual relations, everybody over 10? Okay, all right. Freud's theories, and we thought Freud is a theorist, and I think you may have confused Freud with Erikson and with Fromm, and then you start I teach social work, so names are coming in my brain. Or, when we learned about the stars, and we learned the constellation was in the sky, and we learned and you can tell them what they didn't understand without, 1, embarrassing the student, or 2, calling out anyone to say, tell me what you didn't understand, and you sound like the authority figure, and they sound, what didn't you understand? And that's not a good thing, especially for a 10-year-old, or a 20-year-old, or a 50-year-old. It's never a good thing. See, and I'm completely confused. I thought he was the one who needed a translator. It was the other way around. That's just a little side note, and I need some water. Anyway, visual learners. We also have auditory, and someone mentioned auditory learners. So people hearing me talk or hearing a video, or someone I was talking to someone last week, and he said, putting it together in my head as you talk. So as the person who is not as visual is hearing me or seeing me walk around and talk and saying that when we study Friend, it's a little different than when we study Voyager because one is a little more challenging than the other. And you ask why? Well, because for Voyager, you have to learn 58 texts, and for Friend, you only have to learn 25. So it's a little more challenging. And the person who is auditory is hearing this and is going in the mind saying, oh, I wondered why my students were having a hard time learning Voyager and they got through Friend so easily. Well, it's because it's more challenging. There are more texts, and the texts get harder. Instead of memorizing, in the beginning, the Lord created the heavens and the earth, now we have to memorize Matthew 1 through 7. That's a lot to memorize. So now they're realizing, oh, okay, that's how I can put it together. Now that auditory learner is putting together with a little bit of visual that she doesn't love, but she prefers to hear it, but now we can put it all together. And now the teacher is understanding, if I show a PowerPoint, I need to not only talk about the PowerPoint, but I need to talk and give examples of other items that may come up in the book. When I first started teaching, I call my sister the real teacher because she can actually teach high school and below. I can't teach high school. I actually have a PhD, but I can't teach high school and below because I'm not certified in anything. So she now has her PhD, but when she didn't, she taught high school, elementary school, but she should never teach anything other than college because her brain is like, oh my goodness. I need a dictionary when I'm talking to her. It's like, Denise, stop, I can't even understand what you're saying. But what she told me when I first started teaching, she said, don't ever bring your book to class. I'm thinking it's the textbook. She said, the students can stay at home and read that. They don't need you for that. Do your preparation. Do whatever it is you have to do. Bring your computer to class, bring whatever you need to bring to class, and let them know that you have actually looked at the book, pretended to read the chapter, and then you can tell them something. They don't need you and the book. Yes, sir.
I have a question. I have a student that very slow learner and very destructive. And one time I gave him a time off, and I was the parents is not very convincing what I did. Do you have any suggestion how to do that? How to handle that?
When you say destructive, tell me what you mean.
Talking a lot, and he don't know what he's talking about.
Okay. See, when you said destructive, what I heard was he's tearing up stuff, throwing things here and there. But see, destructive can be the word in the sense that in his mind, he's not able to get anything done in the teacher's mind. So that can be destructive, but disruptive, either way, what we're trying to do is keep him from being bored. He's probably bored. And ironically, you say he's a slow learner. He may be bored because he may have a different way of learning that is not obvious to you or to someone else, not just to you, but to someone else. So what has to happen is you may have to take him aside, have somebody else teach your class, take him aside and figure out with him, and it may take more than one or two times, figure out with him his learning style. How does he learn best so that he's not disrupting the class, so that he's not, and his parents may need to participate as well so that they can all understand how to teach him better. Because if you can understand what makes him tick, how does he, because he might have some extra talents that no one knows about, but because he's always anxious, and of course he may be diagnosed with ADHD. Please don't diagnose him unless you're a trained professional, but that may not be his issue. One, he may just legitimately be bored, or two, he may not understand the information given to him, and he may need to understand it in a different way. So if you have not done that, and I'm sure you have, but take him aside, sit him down, let somebody else teach your class. Don't try and do it in a minute. Take half an hour with him if possible on another day and figure out his best learning style. And then that will help you to figure out how to teach him better. Hopefully that helps. I saw a hand over here and somebody else was trying to help. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's what I do on a daily basis, actually. So I was trying to say that sometimes you may just have to have them be a part of what you do. They may be the door opener, they may be the mail runner, they could do other things inside the class that that will just give them that time to just move around a little.
Okay.
That will sometimes help.
So be a facilitator and have the student do. Okay, thank you. So having someone help you, it's like a teacher's aide. You know, just have, okay, you go get, like you said, the mail. You go get the mail for me and sort it out, and that gives them a sense of responsibility. Thank you for that. Any other questions? And I have learned in my years of teaching, when you ask, do people have questions, you actually have to give them time. See? See? God is so good. Yes, ma'am.
I have three boys, and of course they're all different. But my youngest one, listen to what he's saying. He's so smart. Like that's one of the learning. They're all different. One is visual, and but him, he's very, very smart. He's my youngest one. But in the class, in school, he's the one that always brings the whatever red face or blue face because he's not gonna sit down.
Right.
But I've learned with him when I bring him at home that if I have to read a story with him, I may have to give him something. Sometimes he learns by drawing while I'm talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll help if that's his case. And everybody says, well, he's a slow learner. But
He may not
he's
be.
too busy. So sometimes you can bring him a puzzle. They'll sit there, but they're listening.
Mhm.
They're actually learning. And they're listening, so that may help them.
Thank you for bringing out that point.
Keeping him busy.
Yeah.
He's actually learning. When you think they're not learning, they're not listening, they're already.
And they'll actually repeat things back to you from last week, last year, and they're like, you actually heard what I said? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you get that, the parent or the teacher gets that aha moment. Oh, you understood it. Oh, thank you, Lord. But I'm glad you said that because a lot of teachers in high school or below, they don't have the opportunity to tend to a student one-to-one, and that's how sometimes students fall through the cracks, unfortunately. In Pathfinders, the same thing happens. If you have a big club, Pathfinders can fall through the cracks, and we miss the fact that they're not necessarily slow learners, they just learn differently, and it takes them a little while longer to learn. So, and sometimes when we attach a label to someone, we've knocked them out of the water. Because that slow, and I'm not saying you've done that, but that label, slow learner, okay, I'm never going to learn because one, I'm slow, and he thinks I'm slow, she thinks I'm slow, so I'm never going to learn, and I'm never going to try to learn. So instead of labeling, even, and you can talk to your staff about it, you know, but try not to use that terminology in front of the child or at all, and then try to work with the student as much as possible to help that student to be a better learner, which in turn will help you be a better teacher. Yes, sir.
We are all slow learners to certain teaching styles.
Thank you.
We're all good learners to other teaching styles.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
We are just starting our Pathfinders this year, but I have a question about, I teach Sabbath school, and we have two twins in there, and they are fidgety, doing this, that, and you think they're not learning anything, but when the class is over, they have absorbed everything you said, but how do you keep them from disrupting everybody else if you have the little fidgeter in a class of 10 or 12 kids,
Okay.
and everybody's watching them? Even though they are hearing everything you say, those girls, they roll their eyes at them, and they're, you know, because they're focused totally on them
Right.
instead of on anything else that you say. So
I think this lady's dying to answer your question. Hit it.
I have several kids that are that they don't sit still. You can't teach them anything, and that's what we did with Sabbath schools. We give them Play-Doh. I mean, we give them Play-Doh.
it's quiet.
It's quiet, and they're busy, and their minds are busy, and you wouldn't think they're learning anything. But kids that have to be active, when you're teaching them, even though they're not necessarily looking at you, they're learning, and they could tell you more when they're done
Yeah,
than
they
they did if you tried to sit there.
Yeah, that's how they are. But everybody else is watching them. They're not watching you, and they just pick every little thing up, but they're into everything.
And thank you for answering that. And the lady in front, what is your name? I'm sorry. Lucci. And she mentioned having them draw. So you can get them some books or puzzles. And you may not be able to do that while Sabbath school is going on in mass, but small puzzles, you know, something for them, just something for them to do. Put it back together. And I gave out a couple pieces of paper. We missed that question thing. Somebody else had some paper and looking at me like, okay, we're going to forget that. Okay. You talked about them not listening. What I deal with in class is the laptop, and I'm convinced you're not writing down my notes. So what are you looking at? So I'll walk around the room periodically when nobody's looking, thinking, oh, and I'll shut you down. And I'm crazy enough to take your cell phone because you're texting your boyfriend, and I don't want that in my class. You paid for this class, and I'll take your cell phone. I've taken several cell phones like you're in kindergarten. Put them on my desk, and you get them back at the end of class. And it's a 2 hours and 45-minute class, and your cell phones are up here with me. So now what are you going to do? You're going to listen to me. And if I have to treat you like you're a kindergartner, well, so be it, because you came in acting like one because you were distracted when you came in. Now, I'll tell you in a moment, if you have your laptop, your iPad, your whatever, and you're taking notes, go for it. I appreciate it. I'll even tell you to look something up online because we need to find something, and the computer up here has died. I don't have a problem with that. But you paid way too much to come to my class and sleep, text, Facebook, tweet, Instagram, I name all of them, LinkedIn. Do that on your own time. Play Candy Crush. And if one more person invites me to play Candy Crush, oh my goodness, yes, sir. Cell phones, go ahead.
We have some of our staff that take up the cell phones when they start a class.
Oh.
I walk in and say, keep your cell phones, do not use them. If I see one being used, they're all taken up.
There you go.
One kid causes everyone to be punished.
That's right. That's right. Kid or staff.
Doesn't happen again.
Now, there you go. I appreciate that. And one person challenged me, but I was only checking the time. Buy a watch. Okay, I know they're extinct. Buy a watch. I don't trust what you're doing on the cell phone, so put it down. Put it away. I don't have a problem with you having a cell phone in class. And if you get a call, there are mothers in my classes, fathers. If you need to get a call, go outside and take the call. I don't have any problem with that. You're grown. Just go outside and not, yeah, no, I'm coming home later. Yeah, I'm coming. No, I'm going to stop off. And you need milk. And what else? This is not the grocery store. This is a class. And I do not take kindly to that, so.
One time I had a staff member stand over on the side, and the first cell phone came out, and I paid it no attention. That staff member texted that person and said, you better be paying attention.
I love it. I love it. That's a good thing. All right, and we have kinesthetic, gestures, body movement, object manipulation. In other words, role play. I'm a social worker. We live for role play. We live for role play. I came into class one day, and my poor students, God bless them, I had gone into a colleague's office, and I had come to class nicely professionally dressed, and I went out of the room. I came back. I had on a baseball cap. I had on a hoodie. I had on slacks that day. I rolled up my slacks to one leg. I came into class. They were like, oh, Lord. And then I sat down in the chair, put my feet up on the chair, and I was the client. Oh, first they just fell out laughing because they couldn't handle it. And then they had to deal with the client who was in this persona, and they didn't know what to expect because they had never dealt with it. So with our Pathfinders, shake it up a little bit. Give them something a little different. If you're dealing with a difficult topic, like, let's see, is it I think it's Rangers who had to do the, not the woman at the well, the Good Samaritan. Good Samaritan. And so I was sitting down doing something else, and they came and they used me as the innkeeper, and so, shake it up a little bit. Do something a little different so they get some fun. It's not just telling them the story or them telling you the story. Give them something to do, have them to get something out of it by doing, okay? They have to actually be doing something, not just writing it down, okay? And questions? Does anybody know what time this is supposed to end? Is it 11 or 11:15? Next one starts at 11:15. 11:30? We're going to keep going, and then, yeah, we're finished. Now, based on this, does anybody know their learning styles? Yes? All right. Visual. Now, see, if you're visual, you should. I don't see any papers. See, right? Yes on your paper and hold it up. See, all right. See, oh, you all are so good. You all are so good. Now, keep going. Auditory. All right. See, that visual. Auditory. All right. You didn't clap your hands, and you were my main. She was going. All right. But you're not doing it. I love her. Thank you. See, but the whole thing of it is following instructions. If you're learning your style as a learner, that learner should be able to follow your instructions. But as a teacher, you should be able to, and this manipulate is going to be used in a good way. You should be able to manipulate your teaching style to that learner's style, so that learner is getting the most out of your class. Because Pathfinders doesn't last 6 hours a day. Actually, one does, but yes, ma'am.
Okay, you got visual, auditory, and that last one.
Kinesthetic.
Which one of those is hands-on?
The kinesthetic. Tactile, it pretty much means the same thing. Yes, ma'am. Kinesthetic. They want to be able to do something. They want to touch. They want to get involved. Yeah. So what we want to make sure that we're doing as we're teaching is paying attention. My ex-husband is a pastor, and when he was preaching, I would tell him, pay attention to your audience. Audience, congregation, whatever we want to call them. You know, if the whole back row is asleep, there's a problem. If the whole middle row is texting, there's a problem, unless you've specifically told them, text this to somebody. You know, pay attention to your audience. And in your Pathfinder club, again, the kid with the deer in the headlights look is not getting something. Something is missing. So what are you as the teacher going to do to fix that deer in the headlights look to get the, oh, change your style. Change or adjust, because that style works for the people over here. They were getting it. These two students, oh, because they wrote it down, they even had the answers. Adjust your style when you come over here. Adjust the homework. Even though they all have the exact same homework, tell Susan how to do it a little differently. Tell Billy how to do it a little differently. Tell Tony how his is going to look when you finish. Give them examples. But again, tell me your name again. Lucci. Susan Lucci. I should remember that. Lucci is going to always tell you, but you have to be prepared. You can't just jump in your car, get to Pathfinders, and expect them to learn. Nor can you jump in your car, get to Pathfinders, and expect to be a good teacher. You have to prepare. You have to actually read the manual. You have to actually open the friend paper and see what assignment is due today. You have to put in some work. If you don't put in the work, they are not going to put in the work, because you're going to lead by example. And they know. And they know. And will they try you?
Yes, they will.
And have they tried you?
Yes.
And they'll continue to try you until you get it together. I happen to be short, and people, for some reason, I know you didn't think I was short. I know you thought I was like 8 foot tall. I know. But I know. Behave. For some strange reason, my students are afraid of me day one. Well, because one, I go in, and, you know, like I'm a little nuts, and I don't take any garbage, and I pretend like I'm this big bad bully. And then by, you know, like week 3, they're like, she's just a pussycat. It's okay. But don't mess with the pussycat. You need to do, the bear claws come out. You need to do your work, and we can have fun. I taught English as a second language in Korea for a year. And I had 9 other colleagues at my school in Shilimdong. And I was deemed one of the mean teachers, and it's okay. And Jeremiah, a Caucasian gentleman, he was deemed the fun teacher, oh, best teacher ever, ever, until they left his class and came to my class or went to somebody else's class. And at the end of maybe 6 months, one of his first students actually came to me and said, we had so much fun in Jeremiah's class. And I was like, great, but we didn't learn anything. I was like, so you can't say anything. You can't say anything bad. But I tried to incorporate the fun into the learning, because you have to be able to have them leave there. And it's English. English is extremely important. But it's not grammar that we were teaching them. It's conversational English. And there's a big difference, because they come knowing grammar. Oh, they know grammar, and they will test you. I used to put up devotional thoughts, not necessarily biblical, but just devotional thoughts. And I wrote one day, if what you're doing now won't matter in 5 years, why bother? The word won't, contraction. Teacher, when you use won't after if, you're not supposed to make it a contraction. You said I didn't even know the word won't was in there. I was like, what? I said, I'm sorry, what now? And she whipped out her backpack, took out a dictionary. I was like, oh, Lord. I knew I was in trouble. I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to ask about that and get back to you. Thank you for bringing it up. Because what else am I going to say? I had no clue what she was talking about. And then I had checked into it, and the next day I came back to class and said, you were absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I can't pretend like I know everything. I had not a clue what she was talking about, though. But they know. So your students, they know things. Don't think they aren't aware of things. Talk to them, not at them. Don't talk down to them. You ever hear somebody say, you need to dumb it down? No, you need to smarten up. And recognize that the people you are working with are intelligent human beings. Treat them as such, which means treating them with dignity and respect. Once you recognize that these are human beings that you're going to give respect to, your attitude will change. You will then want to adjust your teaching style to make sure that their learning style is going to connect with yours. Does anybody remember how they were taught? Any examples of good teaching, bad teaching? I heard you say you had a professor like that when I first started. Any example? No yawning. I'm just kidding. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're supposed to hide like this. Not, you know. See, there you go. And it's contagious, of course. So now everybody's going to be yawning. Anybody remember how they were taught? And were they all good experiences?
Well, I remember when teachers were allowed to hit you with a ruler on your knuckles.
Just your knuckles? Oh, I remember other places too. In 5th grade, the rulers were John Henry and George Washington, depending on what you did wrong. Yeah, so yeah, I remember. Did you wish your teachers had other learning styles, other teaching styles? Your students are wishing the same thing. Think about it. Think about when you were younger, how you would have liked something else to go better. So think about what they're going through now and help them to learn better. My teaching style, I'm hoping, is a little hybrid, a little bit of everything thrown in, and I hope that you learn. I hope that when I teach my students, they learn. I get feedback. I get bad feedback as well. I also, I'm pretty anal with grading papers too, and I don't like mistakes. I don't like silly mistakes. Content mistake is okay. Mistakes are okay, but when the word there and there and there are spelled, are used incorrectly, it just drives me up the wall. So anyway. Huh? No. So we would learn how to do it better. We would learn. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is, again, we want to affect our Pathfinders in a good way. And we want to make sure that from friend to master guide, the teaching style is going to change based on the Pathfinder's learning style. And change being you can use one or both or all. Figure out what works best for your group and you adjust. Don't ask them to, they're children. They're not going to adjust overnight, but you can adjust overnight. It takes 21 times to form a habit. You can, I have 10 minutes? Oh, well, see, I can slow down and start talking. Okay, so let's go back to this one then. Since I didn't know I had so much time. Okay, I want to go back. Does anybody care to share about their elementary school days and how you were taught? Okay, now go back.
It must be really traumatic because I can't remember.
He said it must be really traumatic because he can't remember. Yes, ma'am. Tell me your name again. Lisa. Oh, I meant to introduce ourselves. I meant for, sorry. Go ahead, Lisa. And Lucci. And Bob. I named him Bob, but that's not his name. So that's not his name, but what is your name? You, sir. Paul. His name is Paul. You're Bob? Oh, dear. What's your name? Paul and Paul?
No, I was saying he was Paul.
I was talking to you.
Oh, I'm Eli. Sorry. I'm looking at him.
Maybe I just look cross-eyed. I don't know. It's okay. Eli, Paul, Lucci, Lisa. That's what I was going to say. Lisa. And we'll get the rest of you before we go. Yes.
Just real quick, I wanted to share. I moved to a Dutch country when I was a very little girl.
The Dutch country?
It does turn out.
Oh, I thought you meant Holland. Okay.
So for me, learning in elementary was language and work.
Ah.
So I had to cope with both, and I remember I had a lot of days where kids would laugh. You know, very, very difficult times. So what my teacher decided to do was pull me each time at lunch, since she knew that was a strange language, and she would personally go over work with me.
Nice.
Yes, and I was about to tell you that along with my mother was a great woman. It came from the way I teach the children. It came from way back then, where you just personalize it.
Yeah.
You know, and it made a difference for me. I learned the language pretty quickly.
Great.
And the work as well. I was one of the top in my class in the language that.
Awesome.
So the kids were now upset. But it makes a difference what we do with young people.
Right. And whether or not we add that personal touch rather than just teaching from up here.
Yes.
You can't always teach from up here. You have to, when you counsel, you learn not to sit in the big chair and have someone sit down in the little chair. You want to be as equal as possible so that no one's looking like the you know, the big bully. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I've experienced teaching styles with my own children.
Okay.
Where, I guess it would be one where I didn't like it. And it's one where my son did something that kind of got him on the teacher's bad side. And the rest of the year, he never got another chance.
Wow.
And I mean, maybe that's more of a discipline thing, but, you know, for a kid, if you never give them another chance, then why should they try?
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, we've come into, we're in a society now where no tolerance, zero tolerance is at stake, and it plays, it wreaks havoc on the system because the child doesn't get a second chance. The child who deserves, everybody deserves a second chance because God gives us all second chances, and third, and fourth, and 88, and 220, thank the Lord. We all deserve second chances, but if you never give a child one, that child is now stunted. And the learning process stops in the sense that what you want to learn that's positive is now going to be negatively affected.
That he was ADHD, and they actually had us test him, and then he was above grade level.
There you go. Most children who are tested for ADHD and who pass are either bored out of their minds or hyped up on caffeine and sugar.
Actually, caffeine will, with somebody that's really hyper, have the opposite effect.
Okay, then I'll go with sugar. I'm going to stick with sugar, though, because I'm convinced you can't eat a bowl of Fruit Loops, a donut, and a can of soda and not be affected. It just, and even milk and sugar is affected in your stomach. It becomes alcohol in your stomach. So we have to be careful. Nutrition plays a role in our children's learning process. And if we don't recognize that, then we've got a problem. So we have to recognize what works, why it works, and we have to be better at trying to figure out how we can help our children to be better. But thank you for saying the caffeine works the other way. We still don't want a 2-year-old drinking Mountain Dew before anything. Right. And I've seen it. I've seen the Mountain Dew, the Coke, the whatever, the lollipop, at 1, sucking on a lollipop before you go to bed. Not a good thing. Of course, leaving a bottle in the mouth might as well be a lollipop. But anyway, this is not a nutrition class. Okay. High school. Does anybody remember learning in high school? How about college? How about Pathfinders? Was Pathfinders always fun for any of you who were in Pathfinders when you were younger? Yeah, it was.
Most of the time.
Most of the time?
I have
High school.
High school economics, we had to make our own.
Ooh,
business.
mercy.
And
I didn't even like college economics.
we made a T-shirts and hair bows business, and we made the most money of the history of the school.
Wow.
Economics.
So you enjoyed your
We ran-
teaching.
Yeah, we ran a little business the
Cool.
whole year. in high
So, but you were actually what? What's that? Your learning style was kinesthetic. You actually did. You actually got out and touched and, yeah, you planned. Well, actually, it was all of them. Yeah.
We raised money to buy the stuff.
Mm-hmm. So your teacher was a facilitator, was a coach.
Yeah.
It's a good hybrid.